Welcome to the deep dive. We're peeling back the curtain today on something that, well, quietly runs a lot of the digital world, especially if you've ever, placed an online bet or played a digital casino game. We're talking about random number generators,
Mm,
RNGs. But we want to go deeper than just the name. How do they actually work? And maybe more importantly, why is trusting them so critical?
right. And it's funny because you just sort of assume the outcomes are random, right? A dice roll, a card shuffle online. But getting a machine built for predictable instructions to produce true randomness, that's actually a pretty big mathematical challenge. And its integrity, it's not just important, it's literally the foundation the whole online gaming industry is built on.
That really is a paradox, isn't it? Predictable machine, unpredictable results. So how does that work? How can a computer, which just follows code, create something genuinely random, like a coin flip you absolutely cannot predict?
Well, that's the fascinating part. For the most part, it doesn't create true randomness in like the purest physical sense of the word. What online platforms mostly use is something called a pseudorandom number generator, a PRNG. And that first part, pseudo, that's really the key thing here. They're basically algorithms. Really clever algorithms designed to spit out sequences of numbers that just look random. To us, they seem completely unpredictable. But underneath, there's a very specific, very complex mathematical process making it happen.
Okay, pseudo random. Let's unpack that. How does that actually work then? What gets the ball rolling on one of these sequences? You hear about a seed number. What is that exactly?
Yeah, the seed is where it all starts. Think of it as the initial ingredient. The seed can come from various places that are hard for us to predict or control. It could be the system clock down to the millisecond or even finer, or tiny variations in mouse movements, sometimes even atmospheric noise. It sounds technical, but it's crucial because that seed, that's kind of the only truly unpredictable bit going in. If you knew the seed, well, then it wouldn't be unpredictable anymore. Once you have that seed, a super complex mathematical formula gets applied to it. That generates the first number that looks random. But here's the clever bit. That number it just generated. That becomes the seed for the next calculation.
Ah, okay. So it feeds itself, basically.
Exactly. It creates this long, continuous chain of numbers. And the sequence is designed to be incredibly long, millions or billions of numbers long, before it would ever repeat. And the math is so complex, honestly, for a human. Trying to predict the next number in the sequence is, for all practical purposes, impossible.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. But pseudo-random, that word still sticks out. This feels like where trust really comes into play, doesn't it? If it's not truly perfectly random, how can you, the listener, really trust that the virtual blackjack hand you're dealt or the slot machine spin is genuinely fair? That it's not biased somehow? Is there wiggle room for, manipulation?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the answer lies in two main things. First, like we said, the sheer complexity of the algorithm itself makes predicting or manipulating it incredibly difficult. But maybe even more important is the second factor, rigorous testing and certification by third parties. You have these independent auditing companies like EcoDre or iTech Labs. They're kind of the gold standard in the industry.
Okay, I think I've heard of those.
Yeah, their entire job, their whole reason for existing is to test and verify that these RNGs are operating fairly. They're like the independent referees. And their process is intense. They run literally billions of simulations on the RNG.
Billions.
Right. Billions with a B. Yeah. They're stress testing it, looking for absolutely any statistical anomaly, any pattern, any bias, anything that suggests the numbers aren't truly unpredictable. They need to make sure every single outcome, every card dealt, every dice roll online, every slot spin is mathematically fair.
Wow. Billions of simulations. What sort of biases are they even looking for? Is it like maybe one card shows up too often, or could it be more subtle? And how would a system get biased anyway? Is it just a coding mistake, or could someone try to bias it?
It's exactly that kind of thing. They check if, say, the ace of spades appears more often than probability dictates over those billions of tests, or if certain combinations on a slot reel hit more or less frequently than they statistically should. It could potentially be an accidental flaw, maybe a tiny bug in the programming. That does happen. But yes, a huge part of their job is also to detect any intentional manipulation, any backdoor, any attempt to make the game unfair. Their certification basically says we've hammered this thing, we've run billions of tests, and yes, the outcomes it produces are statistically indistinguishable from true randomness. It ensures that pseudo part is, well, good enough to be genuinely fair.
Okay, that makes sense. So for you listening, whether you're, celebrating a win or maybe cursing a near miss on an online game, what does this all mean? I remember playing some game once, convinced a rare item only dropped on, like the 10th attempt. But thinking about it now, that was probably just my brain trying to find a pattern where there wasn't none, right? How does that, like, human need for order clash with these random systems?
That's a perfect example. Our brains are fantastic pattern matching machines. Sometimes too fantastic. We see patterns everywhere, even in random noise. But connecting it back to the RNGs, it really means that this whole system relies on that trust. Without the complex algorithms, and crucially without the independent auditing and oversight, well, the whole thing falls apart. The entire house of cards, or maybe I should say the house of code, would collapse. So the trust you put in an online casino or a sports book, it's not just about their flashy website or their brand name. It's fundamentally about trusting the integrity of this hidden engine, this unseen architect, making the chance happen fairly. It's what bridges the gap between a physical casino and a digital one.
It really is an impressive system when you lay it all out, this unseen engine, as you put it, and makes you appreciate the tech behind the scenes. So next time you're online, maybe take a moment to think about that sophisticated digital process making it all possible, the unsung hero of digital chance.
Absolutely. And maybe it leaves you with a final thought to ponder. How many other unseen algorithms and mathematical engines are running in the background of our daily lives, shaping outcomes, influencing choices, building or eroding our trust in systems, often in ways we barely even notice or understand? It's something to think about.